LinkedIn influencer and the CEO of Nissan and Renault with us today. Talk about his career and the state of the auto industry. Mr. Ghosn, thanks for joining us. So let's talk a little bit about how you manage your time. You're the CEO of two major auto companies in two different continents. You're the chairman of the largest auto company in Russia. About 1 out of every 10 cars sold you have your hand on. How was it possible to manage all of these companies, all of these people, all of these different agendas, and still be human?
Look, first, I want to reassure you, it's possible.
Okay.
It requires a lot of pragmatism, a lot of organization. You have to be surrounded by very professional people who are going to help you do the job. You need to make sure that you are limiting yourself to the core of your mission. I mean, you cannot do everything. You need to make sure about where you are, where you think you are indispensable, and dedicate your task to that. And then in function of this, you start to allocate time in the most rational way possible between the different companies. Obviously, I start with the principle that when I'm in Japan, I'm making decision for Nissan. When I'm in Paris, I'm making decision for Renault. And when I'm in Russia, I'm making decision eventually for AvtoVAZ. I don't sit down in Paris and make decision for things relative to Nissan. I don't mix the different responsibilities because I just want to make sure that different teams in charge feel responsible and there is no confusion between the different companies. So a lot of pragmatism, some basic rules, professional people around you, and at the end of the day, it's possible.
So if there are things going on, you're in Paris, there are things going on with Nissan in Japan. You won't answer those questions, you won't pick up those emails until you're actually in Japan?
Let me tell you, in general, people don't send the email and they don't ask questions on the telephone because they know that the following week you're going to be in Japan. So obviously, when there is emergency, people call you. But fortunately for us, we are today in an environment where emergencies, whenever they exist, they are being dealt with by your team. And if something requires really an answer from your part or position from your part, if it cannot wait next week, because you're usually on a monthly basis, I'm usually in Paris and in Tokyo and probably on a quarterly basis in Russia, then they pick up the phone or they organize a telephone conference. But this is not the way of working. I try as much as possible to avoid these extreme situations where you're sitting down with the Renault team in Paris and answering phone call or going for a video conference for something happening at Nissan. We try to make sure that things are being dealt with in an organized manner. There are exceptions, obviously, but they should stay as exceptions.
Is this something that you have developed over time, or would you say you're managing these, you know, it was two companies at the beginning? First it was one, then it was two, and now it's three. How has your management style of handling these three major responsibilities changed over time?
No, it's a learning process. I mean, you don't start by saying, oh, I know exactly how I'm going to manage it. You start with some basic principles, always very pragmatic, very simple, and then you fine-tune them with time. For example, people around you, because you're part of different teams and you're heading different teams, they want to have kind of visibility of when you're going to be in Tokyo, or when you're going to be in New York, or when you're going to be in Paris.